anything goes tonight, which means yeah, we'll talk about anything we kind of, maybe some help from the chat. I've been asking if people want us to talk about any subjects. We'll try and talk about them if anyone wants to get involved. Anything goes tonight, which means I can't believe I've done that. We'll talk about anything. That's my volume. Do that every time.
Oh, Rex it right off the bat.
So anyway, as you can see, Jason's not with me tonight. Jason normally is going to do the anything goes with me, but he can't make it tonight. So I've got with me Brent Dill, the tall ones, and Leon from Bigfoot Okanagan. How are you doing?
Awesome. Great.
Good.
Thanks for
having me. Good. I just thought I'd mention I put a video out yesterday. I don't know if some people saw that. I did a live stream from my town around the castle, and I didn't have all the information that maybe I should have had. It was kind of like a spur of the moment thing, and I didn't have like dates and some facts and that. So I'm going to put a little video together with those facts and some dates and some interesting stuff about the castle and about Lancaster and the Priory, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. So, guys, while we're waiting for some suggestions from the wonderful chat, and I know they're going to come up with something. Brent, I saw a video yesterday that you put out on your channel, Tall Ones, and it's about a tree, where a Bigfoot apparently lives under, but there is no Bigfoot that lives under this tree. And basically, you were conned into believing that something was there. Why don't you explain to us, where is this tree and how did you get to know about it?
Yeah, well, the tree's up in the North Cascades in Washington State in a campground, a public campground that's closed a little more than half the year just because access is it's so remote that access to it's not very good during the wintertime. And so I came across the tree. Someone told me about a person up there who was having these interactions, and I Googled it a little bit and was surprised about what this person was claiming and what all these other people were claiming too when they were taken up there. And I watched the videos of the interactions. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I contacted them and had a little chat with them, and they invited me up, showed me up there. And so we went, and at this time I was just done with Project Go and See, where I realized it's not going to be my path in the Bigfoot phenomenon with my investigation. So I kind of left it behind and was just kind of out wandering around, and really kind of disappointed in the whole Bigfoot phenomenon and the subject itself, just from the type of investigation that's been going on. So when I came across this, I got like super excited because it's such an amazing tree when you get taken there. So I didn't really believe too much when the individual took me there. I was like, yeah, it's probably just going to be something in their head or something. So we started to sit there for 5-10 minutes or so. The tree is about 10 feet off the main road going down to the campground. And so we went there. We were there for about 5-10 minutes. The individual was saying, hey, if you start talking, acting like you're having fun, that the Bigfoot underneath there, which was labeled the big guy, will start interacting with you either by thumping, roaring, talking, growling, all type of things. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go there, and so we start talking, and then sure as shit, there's this thumping underneath the ground that starts happening. And I'm like, whoa, it's not just like a little tap, 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 like a woodpecker, is like tapping on a tree. This was vibrating the ground. It was vibrating the air. It was so loud and sharp, and you could see the dirt on because it's you can see the dirt on the mound start to vibrate. Now, to describe the tree, it's actually what's called a marriage tree, where it's joined at the bottom, and it grows up. I estimated probably about 150 years old. And then up there towards the top, up among the branches in the canopy area, there's an embedded branch that is stuck in the tree. So it's like let's see if I can. I can get the, so yeah, you know, it's like it just gets pulled whenever the wind starts to pull on the canopies, because it's like cells up there, and then so that branch just kind of starts to get pulled, and what it does is it I think the tree might be hollow, which is pretty common up here, or struck by lightning or something, because the sound just gets transferred automatically down underneath the tree, amongst the roots, and it's like a spider's nest down there underneath the tree of all these root systems of old dead trees too, and you know, that's where I was like, I started to believe in Bigfoot again, and believe that there was a Bigfoot living underneath this tree, and that's how I learned of it and got introduced into that whole situation there. And it's not like yeah, you know, it's just one of those really weird things.
Can I play with this for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure we're following what's going on here. Okay, so what you're saying is that there was a tree that you went to and investigated, but you also heard with credibility that there seems to be other support from other researchers, that the tree was a place that Sasquatches were known to habitate around or hang out with. In this particular case, what you're suggesting is that the Sasquatches were kind of underneath this big tree system. And I know what you're talking about on the Pacific Northwest, because yeah, the trees are just, I mean, I live right by, you know, almost northern in Canada, but yeah, they're really, really huge in diameter. And that other part you were talking about, the branch part, when you're going like this, I was a little confused on how you unraveled that one there. So when you went to the, was it an event you went to, or was it a convention you went to, or not a convention, but like a campground where people said, hey, come and check this out, or who did you go with? You don't have to say names or nothing, but yeah,
I went. Well, it's kind of known. It's Lori Simmons' Bigfoot tree.
Okay,
and
yeah.
so I introduced myself to her, and then she took me out there, and we had that interaction, and then we talked a bit, and she wanted me to help her, like, you know, prove to the world that there's a Bigfoot underneath there. And I'm like, don't have to twist my arm with that. So I was like super excited, because the tree, wow, it's an amazing tree. That really will produce all these different various sounds and stuff.
So you've gone from not believing it, not knowing about Bigfoot or seeing a Bigfoot, to suddenly now you believe in it because you've gone along with something, and there's been some sort of evidence that's made you believe that. Were people being charged to go and see this?
No, not at that time. Not individually. You get charged when you, like, there's conferences up there yearly. There's one again this September, and that's where the charge kind of comes into. And they're having another one down there at the campground this year, but I don't know if it's going to be inside the campground because it's still closed. And with the whole COVID-19, I don't think that they're probably going to open it. It's such a remote place that you know, I can see that whole area just kind of staying closed. So so that individual wasn't charging me. She was definitely going to had lots of plans to make a lot of money off of it for sure. You know, doing tours and have a little shop up there that was a base to go out and have tours out there and stuff. So,
and just for the timeline's sake, again, you were already kind of in Bigfoot, and then you were on another site, Go and See, and you kind of got dismayed on that, weren't too sure. That kind of ended kind of not where you were hoping it was going to go, and then you heard about this particular tree, and then it kind of gave you this vitality about the topic inside yourself, right?
Yeah, so I've been in the subject for about 5 years now, and I got into the project Go and See with Nathan Rio, and was super duper excited about that because I was talking to him, and he was giving me areas to go check out, and I would go check out, and there would be those structures and all this really cool stuff, and you know, the more I thought, wow, Bigfooting's super easy. I can't believe, like, we've gone this far and not have this discovery yet. But I started getting a little suspicious, so I started going outside the Bigfoot community to try and find sources for what I'm finding out there. And I found it very quickly of what's going on with tree structures and you know, the vast majority of what's you see on there. And so I told Nathan and some other people, and they didn't really care. I mean, they kind of ignored it and you know, went on doing whatever they did. So I was just kind of like, you know, it's not my way of going about this. So I just left and just kind of wandering around. And someone told me in a Facebook group that since I was so close to that other individual, I should talk to them about it since I'm not really up to anything and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's,
cool. Should we, do you want me to play the noise that this, should we show that video a little bit at the beginning of what this tree does?
Yeah, was it the video I posted yesterday?
The one today.
Oh, the one today. Yeah, I mean, there's little thumps in there and stuff. It wasn't a very windy day yesterday. But at towards the end of the video that I posted today, the second one, I got about a minute of the treetop, you know, swaying in the wind, and you can just hear the thumping and the knocking. And when you're down there at the base of the tree, that's when it really becomes really, really loud. Like you can hear it like over 100 yards away, right next to a raging creek. You know, that's how loud it can get. So to find a really good audio to kind of illustrate it, you can go through those videos there. They can go onto my channel too, and I have some various breakdowns because I have video of the branch, the actual embedded branch that's causing all the sound. I have the video of it actually moving, making the sounds. And I actually, when I was just up there the other day, I got a lot of video, more of the thumping and the branch moving. It's just I haven't had a chance to really upload it. So yeah, I mean, you can
save that a bit, Brent, just for a little later on. So maybe we can take a peek at that video first, because I'm curious about asking you. You know, remember you're caught into this now. You're ecstatic, and I think I'd like to hear your description of the first time you went there and you saw the ground move, and if you were responded, or if they suggested if you knocked on the tree, or if you know this might happen or whatever like that. And then when that happened to you, what happened inside your head and your body, which is like holy shit, right? More likely, right? And that's going to put that what you call this like a it's like a narrative you're starting to hear. And you've heard the narrative, the Sasquatch is in this tree. Now you go to this event and all of a sudden the ground's shaking. You can do all these responses. You seem to get responses back. So you've now physiologically and emotionally taken it in. And I want to just kind of stop it there. And then Danielle, if you can play the video, I think that would be helpful for viewers. And then on the other side of that, let's talk about that unfolding of how you discovered what you discovered. I think that's. So
if I fast forward it to where the treetops are, is that better, or the beginning?
Yeah, that'll give you a lot better constant illustration and stuff of it. I've been really lazy about you know, getting everything like loaded up online and stuff. So yeah, here's the treetops of the trees out there, and you can just hear the sound as it blows in the wind.
Right there?
No, you'll be able to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't think the audio is working.
That right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the knocking.
Yeah, at the base of the tree, because the sound gets shot down, at times you can actually hear the sound travel down the tree. Not every time, but some of the times, depending upon how I think the branch is moving within the other tree. And then it gets amplified down there. I think it's like a big echo area.
Well,
go to the front part of that video there too. Is there a part there where you can hear the knocking or something?
Yeah, it's not very loud though.
Oh,
but we can try it. We can try it. Hang on, let me go back.
Oh, yeah, well, at the very beginning of this video here, I put when it thumps and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like to just see.
Let's play that. Hang on.
This is
I amplified the audio too, so it should be extra loud.
in the Marble Creek campground, and I say I'm not the one who originally gave out the location. It's already out there. So
Elsewhere.
check it out. Tree Grace.
That thump is, would make you think, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's just one of the many sounds that the tree makes. I was kind of hoping it was going, because it actually does sound like roaring, like there's something roaring underneath there. I mean, when I first heard that, I was like, holy crap. I mean, it's I've never experienced a tree like this, and I've brought various people out there that are non-Bigfooting, and they are completely floored by this tree. And I've talked to some other people online that are non-Bigfooting, and this is a very unique tree with what it's able to do on the sounds that it's able to produce. And I think that maybe it being hollow inside might play a factor on shooting everything down underneath the ground.
Totally. It's like a huge trumpet blast. That's the air's going to go into the top. It's like having a reed from a flute or something like that at the very top, and anything goes through there. It's like blowing into the top of a pop bottle. It's going to just right as it goes down there, and then reverberate, especially if it's rooted to what type of tree is that again? Did you say? I'm sorry.
Douglas fir.
Yeah, totally. The root system of that's going to be. That's going to reverberate as well through the ground, right? So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool experience.
So there are two roots, and then there's another tree that's close by that's cut down already. That's an older tree, so it's got its roots entangled in there as well. And so it's I'm sure it's got its own little acoustics down there. So you can see why all the focus was down underneath there. And like I say, when I first heard about this, I thought it was all vetted out. I was like, wow, I'm surprised people aren't up here more, really looking into it. But the individual made that not possible, just with their behavior, kept everybody away. So yeah, I was really kind of surprised that it was there, and there was nothing online that I found to explain what it was, that it was the branch. It was all these other investigators before me, made videos, podcasts. There's books written about it. It was on a TV series, and it's like all that. I didn't really investigate because I just trusted it. I thought everybody did their job to really figure it out, and I was wrong. And that was an interesting time.
What's what do we do? Do we just ignore stuff like this, or should we start? What do people think?
Well, I think. Well, I mean, you can't really ignore it because you don't want to facilitate this type of behavior, and especially when there's money being exchanged. And Lori's really manipulative of like how she tries to control that tree. And I found out that I'm like the 6th or 7th person that tried to help her, work with her, and she just completely took a crap on, completely tried to discredit them because she was worried that they were going to take her thunder and stuff. And so there's only so much you can do. I mean, you could tell people all about it. And like I've told Lori and Tom and a lot of those people associated with it, and they think they know better. They continue to have a conference down there. And so there's not much you could do. I'd like to go document it to help illustrate how priming, confirmation bias, and the cognitive dissonance works in this subject, you know, when we're researching it. So I mean, there's all you can do is tell people about it and warn them. I wish I had, you know, at least something out there to at least give me an indication that it's not a Bigfoot living underneath there.
This is a problem, isn't it? We don't know. We come into this subject blind because there's no official books, is there, to look up, or there's no official website, and a lot of people are just fooled so quickly. As soon as they get it, I was, you know, fooled by stuff, and it's embarrassing. It's you know, you feel a bit of a Burke, don't you, when you realise, oh God, I've been like bigging them up, and just
well, when you went and okay, so here you are, and again, you're having this dual conversation in your belief system, because your one part of your belief system wants to buy that it is a Sasquatch. This is at the beginning part, especially when you go there and you're hearing this clattery and clunking and thunking or whatever it is that you're experiencing. The ground's moving, I think you mentioned, or something like that. Did you bang the ground or bang the tree or anything like that, or what was?
We hit the ground with our foot, and then that sends the vibration to let the Bigfoot underneath there know that that there's somebody up there that wants to interact with them. So to kind of go back to your original question before the video, what was your question?
For 20 points, it was a brand new car.
Multifaceted one.
Okay, well, where I'm trying to help people understand is the inside process of what happens to somebody online, because I think there's a bigger thing going on here, Brent. I just don't think it's just experience, because I had to do the same thing with gullible white guy looking for Sasquatch. I had to come clean about what I thought, and I thought, fuck this, sorry, you guys, this is not going to be good for me, because I have to say something that I really bought into what I thought. But and then I had to come back online and say I was wrong. But the nice thing is that's the best pocket to be in, because then you're flexible when you're looking at data, you know. And so here, when you were talking to me the other day about this, or when I sent me that video about asking me about this, and you know, like we're having a conversation. Anyways, I thought, yeah, this is kind of a systemic problem you have with any kind of research or any kind of evidence or data collecting. You know, you invest a lot of stuff in it, and plus that addiction that comes at the very beginning of excitement. You're like a kid at Christmas morning. You want to get out there, get the presents, and I don't see all the presents, so I'm going to imagine that this box is a present, this is a present, and this is a Sasquatch, and that's a Sasquatch, or whatever like that. And so you kind of get zoned in there, and in that process of doing that, like when you were talking about hitting the ground and they would come up and the roots spawn. I mean, think of all that activity that's happening to you with the idea that somebody's giving you a narrative that this is a Sasquatch. So that building block is now, this is reinforcing that, yeah, there's something here, a Sasquatch, instead of about what. And then there's a part in you when you come back, and how did you get the shift to fight against those two kind of opposing sides in your head? What was helpful? What helped you with that process? Did you reach out to somebody to get an idea about a different perspective? How did you unlock from your own hope that it was it, so you didn't just turn away and just sucked it up like most people would, maybe? Or what made you shift there a little bit?
Well, I've always would rather live in the truth than you know, trying to live out a lie type of thing. And so I've always wanted, my whole goal is to just see a Bigfoot, just to know that they're real. That's all I really kind of care about. I don't really care about proving it or anything else. I just want to see one. And so I was really, and when you think you have a Bigfoot in a certain location, you know, yeah, exactly. And so I was talking to Stephen Stroyford of Bigfoot Books, Coalition of Critical Thinking, privately, you know, because we were just having a discussion and you know, just talking about the whole thing. And he's the one who gave me the insight of, you know, good ways to investigate, but gave me the insight that cleared out my priming, confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance of, he said to me that I should not go try and prove what's underneath there. I should just go find out. And that
Stop
exact
there. Say that again. Say that again.
He
It's
told
not
me
about going to it. Say it again. People need to hear what you just said, I think.
so he told me, don't prove it.
Right.
I should go out there and just find out what's going on, because
Doing it,
try to prove something, it takes you down a completely different path versus if you just try to go find out what's going on. Because if he didn't tell me that, I would probably still be looking for that cave entrance, because that's what my goal was. He told me that the night before I was heading up there, and so I was talking about what I was going to do, the investigation I was going to do and stuff, and it was to look for that cave entrance, which was like I was probably hundreds of yards away from this tree now, hundreds and hundreds of yards, because I scoured everywhere around it. And I didn't like going back to the tree either, because there's always somebody's recording device there, be it a camera or audio recording device. And so, he told me that. And as soon as he told me that, it was just like, wow. It's like, you get a slap across the face. That's what it kind of felt like. It's like, wow, that's kind of that realization of, how to really do it, and how you were really possibly flawed in your investigation. So I decided to start from the beginning. And as soon, like within the first hour that I went there, I figured out the whole thing. And it was like so rewarding in a way to figure it out and, really get it resolved. But it was really kind of disappointing. And
okay,
yeah.
wait. I want you to slow down there a little bit again too. Okay, so you're going through that process, and your first process is I go back to the tree. The next process is what? What's going through your head? How do I figure out about this thumping sound I'm hearing? Where's your brain going? Well, the first thing is, like you said, is everyone comes down and looks down on the ground. You probably were the first person that actually looked up to the tree.
Yeah. Once the thumping really started, it's it's a really complicated process of, like, because you got to deal with the priming, the confirmation bias, and the cognitive dissonance that it's associated with this. And overcoming that when you're there at the tree, it's a really difficult thing. And
that's personally, That's personally those three things. Those are your three personal things you were wrestling with.
Yeah, and I think that everybody wrestles with in Bigfoot research, or trying to investigate anything really, or just life in general. We all have these biases, and sometimes we don't realize that we have it, and sometimes you need a slap across the face to realize that you have something. And so when I went there with this new frame of mind, this new mindset, I didn't talk to the Bigfoot tree. I didn't talk to the individual down there, because that's not how, I just didn't feel that was appropriate, because when you're starting fresh, you don't go in there with trying to prove again what's going down in there, what's underneath there. So I didn't act like I was trying to be friended or anything like that. I just went there, all business. And, when the wind started picking up and I hear the thumping, and then there was this one instance where I just heard the sound shoot straight down the tree. And I was like, whoa, that was the moment where it's like, whoa, there's something wrong here. There is something wrong here. And I just waited and sat there, because I just sat there, not talking to the tree or anything prior to that happening, just letting it thump and do its thing. And then once that happened, it started to make me really wonder. And then it started happening more and more. And that's when it's just like, it just hit me. It's like a wave hit me of, this is what's actually going on. There's no Bigfoot down there, and that was the moment I realized that thing.
And you felt?
I felt a lot of different things that took a long time to try and process, and still trying to process.
What specifically did you feel? I know I'm pushing you on this one, but it's important because everyone's going to feel it. So you might as well share it. So what did you feel, man, when all of a sudden that hit you, reality?
Well, I was shocked. I was very upset and very, it was kind of sad, it's like, it's not what you really kind of thought it was going to be. And so, yeah, I was a lot of different emotions, but I was just really kind of in shock. I guess that's the best way to put it, because I felt like my blood go cold as soon as I realized the moment that there's nothing down there. I was like, I went cold and I'm like, damn, you know, it's, yeah, so it was more shock. And then on the drive home, it was about a 2-hour drive home, and it was just silence. I just was inside my brain of trying to process everything that I was going through and stuff, because I really believed it, because, you know, the confirmation bias was there. The priming leading up to it was really good, which we should kind of go back to, because there's a whole process that goes into this here. So what she did is you get told about the tree, and then you can even go research it and validate the stuff that she says, and then she takes you out there. And once the interactions start to happen, you have to up and leave, because she's like, oh, I'm afraid. And so you leave. So you're literally only there for like 5 or 10 minutes, and which was really kind of disappointing, because I'm like, gosh, you know, you just want to kind of hang out here. And it's one of those things where you can't go back by yourself, because you don't want to go to another person's research area. And that individual is just going to, you know, act out childishly online. And so it was really hard to really, you know, do anything other than the priming. Because once you get taken out there, that's when the confirmation bias really starts to kick in. Once the tree starts to knock, and you really get that validation of that priming. And then that starts to form, I believe, in the cognitive dissonance to help protect the belief that you're building up, which in this case, I was completely wrong about. And so that whole process from priming, confirmation bias, all the way to the cognitive dissonance is a really interesting thing that I think that we all should talk about more and try to understand more, because it's like I say, I'm still trying to fully understand it. And that's why, you know, I wouldn't mind going to that conference just so I can get a better understanding of the whole process, how they do it and stuff, because they're very smart on how they do it. They have the tree there as the example, and they, you know, the subject, it's really easy to pull people in, you know, with the priming and stuff, especially in these areas, especially with, you know, all the people that were associated with it. It's really easy to really fall for it, type of thing. So, I mean, I don't feel that bad that I fell for it. It was a good learning experience, and I don't think anybody before me should feel bad about it. You know, hopefully they can learn from it, acknowledge it at least, and you know, so it doesn't happen again. It's all about learning and knowing and stuff. And yeah.
Danielle, did you want to share something there? Looks like you were thinking about something in your mind there.
Well, just that, you know, how much time do we waste over this sort of stuff when we could have been focusing on other things? When you're a newbie and you come into this subject, and you can just fall for anything.
Yeah. See, the thing is too, after I had my falling out with Lori, she tried to recruit this other person that I knew to do the same exact thing with me. So it would have been another person that she would have eventually used and abused and got rid of and stuff. You know, I don't think they're going to be able to get away with it any longer, just because there's more information out. I mean, there was no evidence of what it was, you know, what was causing the sound. You know, Brian Sykes wrote a brief thing about it in his book that nobody really read. I should probably touch on that first. The Brian Sykes, he's Professor Brian Sykes, a guy over in Oxford or somewhere. He went there in 2014 with Lori and Adam Davies to try and get some DNA, and so he was there, and he went through the whole priming, confirmation bias with them, and he totally fell for it. And he writes in his book how he fell for it. And he's like, he was driving home, and he's like, why am I leaving here when I have a Bigfoot underneath, in a location underneath this tree? Why am I leaving? You know, because he left with the other people. So he went ahead and went back, but he stopped by the ranger station and got a forest ranger, said, hey, come look at this. And so they met out there, and the forest ranger, within the first few minutes, he's like, yeah, it's that tree up there, or it's that branch up there. And Brian's like, oh, you know, and he wrote a little bit about it in his book, you know, not enough to get any sort of, to get that information out there. And so with, you know, the evidence I was able to collect, I think it's without a doubt that this is what's going on. You know, it verifies what Brian Sykes wrote in his book, and what that forest ranger found, and yeah.
Was there, listen, I just want to go back to that whole thing. When you, the funny thing is how you kind of described, you know, I kind of felt froze, or felt 2 hours of driving home, no noise, or it's like a traumatic thing that happens to you. And in a way, what your brain just hit, that wall it just hit, that you finally busted through, was, if I'm wrong about this, what else am I wrong about?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But the good thing is you made it to the other side of it, because you're going to be wrong about a lot of things. That instead of making it as a second guessment about my capacity to figure out what's right or wrong. And that's why you went that 2 hours of that conflict when you're driving home, is like, shit, if I'm wrong about this, and I really thought this was what I thought it was. And that's kind of important, because I'm sure that, like, when I was trying to nail you down to those other feelings, embarrassed would be one.
Embarrassed, yes.
Embarrassed for sure, yeah. And the other one would be a bit of
family. I told them.
Say that again, Brent.
Oh, I was especially embarrassed with my family, because I told them about it too, and I was like, geez, you know.
Yes.
That's why, you know, and that's why I don't really, I'm not very open about the Bigfooting stuff as much anymore, just because it's well, I mean, everybody knows, I told everybody it's fine and stuff, but always, you know, when you're very first getting into this, just be really careful on, you know, all the stuff that you're out there excited about and, you know, throwing out there, because it's most likely not real. And
the narrative.
Yeah. In the end, it's you're just going to be embarrassed to the point where you might not even admit it, type of thing, and create this cycle of, you know, of that.
Did you feel like you were hoodwinked?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because she knew about it for probably like 4 years prior to me.
Right.
Going up there.
I want to kind of interject a little bit here, just so people who are viewing this, you know, I always talk about systems, right? It's not bad people, it's the bad system. And the problem is, if it's a bad system, people like this have a capacity to do this to people like us, who are trusting, because we have trusting regulators watching this screen right now. And it goes across a variety of fields of, you know, any type of paranormal, cryptozoology, doesn't matter what it is, any kind of unknown topic. It goes right across that capacity of each of those systems to have these type of experiences that are quite let down towards everybody. And the idea about, like, I think we were yakking about this a few days ago with you guys, which was the online scene is kind of like a TV network now, and it's called the Bigfoot Network. You know, what's on the Bigfoot Network? And like every network, they have soap operas, the news, all these different little subcategory stories on there. And the problem with that, as time moves forward, is you think that's the data information we're going to use to collect this stuff. And yeah, and I did as well, right? Jason did, you know, a lot of us have done it. What
everybody getting into this does.
Yeah, and I think that's the key part, is what I think what's important about what your story was, is that you fessed up. And not that you fessed up because you did anything wrong. You fessed up because you felt, I mean, think about it. You feel stupid and embarrassed. You just told your freaking family this information. And then you find out the reality about the truth about yourself. Because that's what you learned from this whole incident. The truth about myself. Am I going to fess up and say to the truth to my own body, my existence? Because this goes about post-traumatic stress disorder, Daniel, that you were asking me about the other day. If it's not solid, if I don't have myself, I can't sense anchoring it to be solid. And as soon as I start fabricating, lie, exaggerate to a point where I have delusional style of thinking, then I'm really in crisis at that point. But at least you faced yourself and you saw what it was, and you felt the physiological reaction. That's usually what stops people. But we need
there was a thought in my brain down there at the base of the tree as soon as I realized it, of like, what do I do now? Like, what do I do with this information? Do I, you know, be with the narrative of like, you know, yeah, there's a Bigfoot living underneath there, but back off of it and just like, you know, so I can save myself the embarrassment? Or, you know, do I just do what I feel you should do as a person and just go present what is going on, especially since it's being exploited and other people are getting, I don't want somebody else to have to like go deal with this, waste their time like I did, and all the many countless people before me, and so I was like, yeah, just
what's missing? I mean, I'm kind of maybe shooting a bit forward here, but what's missing really is a truth hub, isn't there? Where people can go to, where it's very, very, we know very little about Bigfoot, and that's fact. We know so little about this creature, and people make it too complicated sometimes. And like I said, the other day, we've got this puzzle board, and you can only fit square pieces in it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we've got triangle pieces and star-shaped pieces and circle. They're not fitting in that, and you're carrying it around with you, and it's never going to fit the puzzle. And it's knowing whether you need to drop some ideas and be honest with yourself and go, look, I'm getting carried away. I've done it. Brent's done it. We all do it. We all get caught in that moment. But this kind of, subject can go too far and send people on a crazy path that with no substance, and it wastes a lot of time, and people feel filled about it and like an idiot. And we've got to be very real about what's going on, and we need this place, this hub somewhere where people can honest people can go and ask genuine questions, and people are there with genuine answers. Generally, I don't know. We don't know. Rather than, oh yeah, it only does this. It definitely does that. We've got to be really realistic and have these discussions about it without falling out with people. I just want to go back because Jimmy, hi Jimmy, he made a good point before. He said there's a problem with this. So I think you publicly call out the BS so it doesn't get traction. Give the entire Bigfoot community more of a bad rap. It's bad enough without the hoaxes. But there comes a consequence of calling people out, that you get attacked then by their supporters or whatever. And therefore, and therefore when there's something very like obvious, like this tree, where it's obvious there's not a Bigfoot that lives below it.
Yeah.
You've been there, you've done a video, you can see it. Anyone could go out there and have a look at it and know that it's been created by the weather and whatever. We need people to back other people up on this, to stand by those people who are telling the truth or who are trying to open up a discussion about things without getting attacked for it, because you just want to give up. You want to try and do something good in the community, and you're getting attacked. People get attacked for it, and it spoils it. You think, let's not bother. But this subject needs it. It needs something, a collective of people to go, we need to get, realistic with this, because there is a hell of a lot of people that are just making money, entertainment, friends, likes, views for nothing. And, there's some genuine people out there, but actually there's not a lot of real info out there.
But there doesn't have to be. That's what the problem has been. When people say, well, I keep saying on my videos too, we're missing something. Well, what we're missing is the capacity to all have a standard that we all use when we're looking at data. And what I find is we don't use the scientific method, we use the scientific method. And the scientific method compared to scientific method is scientific method starts off with something we know that's factually at the platform. And then the next block that goes on there is scientifically available for all of us to vet that data and information by using what's called scientific method, or Merton's norms is what they're called. And then on top of that, if we don't use that technique, then something can easily collapse. The whole idea collapses, like when you're in court there and we have all the circumstantial evidence. We got 17,000 files that this guy, circumstantial evidence that this guy did it. Great, I got one drop of blood, which just wipes out that whole bloody 15,000 files you've got there as far as your circumstance evidence goes. And the idea is that about education, I think the problem that we're scared of, we're kind of stuck in a conflict war of ideology. And everyone's moving towards the ideology because the typical method is a hell of a lot easier to do than a scientific method to do. The scientific method or scientifical method is you have the topic down here, and then you start grabbing stuff from up top and start placing it down here instead of from down here up. And that's that whole part of your brain when I say, if you want to look for a new car and you found a car that you like, and all of a sudden you start seeing those cars all over the place because part of your brain has bought the ideas, I want a car, Sasquatch, and I want this type of car, this type of Sasquatch. He's a scary Sasquatch, a kumbaya Sasquatch, a healing Sasquatch, quantum physics, whatever. But the problem is then your brain, not you, your brain automatically is programmed to go get data to support that biasness that you have now chosen. And that's confirmation bias. Instead of objective thinking, it's subjective. I take my feelings, my emotions, because I like it. I like that cool looking sports car. It makes me feel cool when I look at that sports car. I like that idea. It makes me feel cool about that idea, unique about that idea. There might be something there, and there might be, but you have to stay, and that's the thing is, when there's a shift that's happening online, which is just stellarly ecstatic for me. It's going to take probably another 5 to 8 years to get there. But in regards to the Sasquatch, but it's on its process. And the nice thing about seeing that starting to be available to a lot more people from a lot different voices across things, especially with the younger generation, the answer is going to be, unless they're extinct now, because I heard the other day that 40%, in the last 50 years, 40% of the world's animal species have been extinct now. That's the last 40 years or 50 years. So are they one of them? I don't know. People projecting on their views. I don't know. My setting was a long time ago over the 40-year mark. So I don't know. But the idea is, like, for people like Jimmy and that and some of the other young guys we were talking about, the new people that are online, is we are exactly where you were. And I think part of the conversation, Brent, that brought you forth with doing out that video and some of the stuff that I had to do, and Daniel, what you're trying to point out to people is the idea that we spent 5 years and a lot of cash doing this. And we bought the narrative, which gave us that priming because of what we saw online. That's what I mean. It's like watching TV and then finding Bigfoot and using that, but that's not what we're needing right now. We need different ways. So I need to take a break for a bit, you guys, just like 5 minutes or so. So I'm just disconnect and let you guys go on for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. See you in a minute.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, like, kind of the problem with what was he talking about?
What were you talking about, Leon?
As I just happened to come back, I thought to myself, I'm not too sure if they knew what I was talking about. But now that it's gone away 3 ways, we all have 3 blockers in our brain. This is called communal something or other. What we're talking about is the community, the whole online going on TV, a TV network to get data about this process is not helping. And the people who are coming online that are interested, like some of these guys like Jimmy and them, I mean, there's all that passion, that addiction. When we talked to him a couple of weeks ago there, you can see that. We were all there, but we don't want him to spend 5 years finding out what we did after we spent the time in that, because we were listening to a narrative that was priming us into believing, because we're trusting. Everyone watching me right now that's in the Sasquatch topic or any topic, I don't care what it is, you're online because you're curious about it. And there's an intimate entertainment factor for sure. But be careful of the narrative you're hearing spewed over this visual auditorial system that you can't vet any of this information that you're hearing. And part of, like Brent did, was step out of the box and say, what if I'm wrong? Gullible white guy looking for Sasquatch. I'm wrong. Will they feel stupid? Yeah. Will they feel like an idiot? You bet. Will I look like a complete moron? 100%. But I have to fess up for guys like Jimmy and everyone else, so that they don't spend 5 years being trapped in this, I must just listen to what these people say. For surely they must know what they're talking about. Man, there's a lot of people who have over 1 million subscribers or views on their videos, not in this topic, in a lot of topics online on just check them out, and they're not solid people psychologically with any of their theories, but boy, they sure get a lot of views. So
Yeah.
On that note, continue. I'll see you in about 5.
Seeing it.
Well, the good thing is that there, or the thing is there was always people like us, like us, when we got into it. So the thing that we really need to understand is the historical sense, the aspect of this subject, listening to the people who've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, like Stephen Stroyford and all these different people, Thomas Steenberg, and amazing investigators who are on the right path that, offer their information, but we chose to reject it because we like the shiny little Bigfoot story over here that was just really a story. There was nothing substantial to it. And so I think the important thing is, if you're listening to this and you're new to this, is listening to the people who have that experience. Because when I first got into it, I rejected it. I didn't listen to it, to those people, because it's not what I wanted to hear. I just wanted to hear good stuff. I wanted to get that reaffirming belief going and all that. And I didn't really want to hear the truth. So if you want to hear the truth, I highly recommend, go seek the people who are on that that you think is on the right road. And we're trying to help define that road and help, bushwhack through it some more, to help amplify what was said by the people before us, help amplify what they said, and get that, pushed on to the next people. Because I don't think I'm going to be the person to solve the Bigfoot mystery. I hope that it gets solved in my lifetime. I really just want to see one. So if somebody can go out there and get really crystal clear video of a Bigfoot, I would be completely happy. So if somebody can learn from my story, my mistakes, and through the trials and tribulations of everything, then I'm totally for it. I don't, I could take the ego hit and stuff, because I think in the long run it's going to be beneficial for myself and just for everybody else in general, by getting us going down that path. And it just seems like with all the YouTube video channels, like the different brands, I consider them like businesses, like a TV show type of thing. It's not necessarily real, but that took us on this side road that we're not even really, that has nothing to do with Bigfoot. It's just somebody's personal story time that they go, tell you when you go out in a video with them. So we have to, either, ignore those people and just start pushing forward with what, the path that we're kind of going. So
history's important. And that's why going back, like, to the old school guys, like you say, Thomas, and there's a lot of them out there, who before the internet, before Google, before YouTube, before it became an entertainment, a free for all, basically, on what this thing is. And it's all right having opinions and kind of your own kind of ideas of what it is, but there's a lot of people saying this is what it is and leading people there. So it's important to if you're going to call yourself a researcher, then go back and read and listen to what the old guys were saying before the internet, when they were really only had the flashlight and a whatever, however they were recording or whatever they were doing, the guys like Ron Moorhead and all that. That's where we should be going forwards from, not this in between stuff, because I feel like it's anybody's out there for their own. Everyone's an expert in their own field, in their own little wood, and we've lost sight maybe of what this is all about. And I don't think anyone's going to catch it. Even if we get some good video and some good photos, people are going to go, "It's a fake," or "That's a," it's really difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult. Do we need to prove anymore that it exists? What's important now is that we find it, or what?
In order to find it, you should be filming it in the process of finding it too. That would be nice as well, you know, to kind of give you some encouragement to keep looking. But one of the questions I think somebody asked online there was, what do you think of the Patterson? I mean, think about that. That was 50 years ago, 51 years ago. It was sunny out. It was sunny out. It was in an open area. You know, this whole going into these ideas while they're mystical and all this kind of stuff. We were laughing the other day about, you know, how snakes can use ultraviolet to find people or find their prey, right? They don't just actually look for the chemicals through their tongue. They actually use their tongue for ultraviolets. New studies coming out kind of thing. I can't wait for that one to be put on the Sasquatch as well. You know, they can sense ultraviolet and they see through ultraviolet eyes. And there's no data for any of this. And this is part of the problem about not being solid. If you don't have, you can't move forward if you just want to stay in magical fairyland. I mean, that might sound harsh, but I'm on here for over 5 years, and you've been on here for over 5 years, and more. There's lots of people who we know that have been on here for over 5 years, and it's the same circular kind of thing. And heaven forbid, like every system, I don't care what it is, church system, family system, business system, if you come into there with an idea that's contrary to that system of belief, they're going to come at you full bore. And at one point, the card has to be called. Now, the card isn't being called like, because, you know, I've mentioned before about I have a bit of problems with these so-called critical thinking sites. They've lost their way. They're in the system. They can't see that they've lost their way because they're reactatory. Well, that we debunked that 3 years ago, but then freshen up the information, or like 10 years ago, because there's obviously been 10 years of new people that jumped on board on the topic. So why don't you do it as an educational videos?
People are asking, Brent's channel is called The Tall Ones.
Right.
I'll put a link now in the chat. I'll also put a link in the description. Sorry, Leon, carry on.
No, I mean, I'm ranting because I'm so bloody frustrated by the whole idea of, look at what's true. Is Sasquatch real? I think that's what it is. Now, you can put this onto any other topic if you want to, paranormal topic or whatever like that. I get the part about it's great to watch, you know, UFO stuff, Sasquatch stuff, cryptic zoology stuff. I get all that as entertainment. But if you're out there researching it, you know, the scientific, or what is it, citizen scientist, the citizen scientist needs to know what's the scientific method and approach is.
Yeah. And I think that's what
shooting in the foot all the time. Yeah, we're shooting ourselves in the foot because we're claiming it all the time. But if you ask, do this if you want, okay? Go and ask anybody in regards to anyone you know who has a Bigfoot or paranormal, UFO, any of these organizations that are online. I'm just talking online, people. And when they say, ask them, do they use the scientific method? Okay, ask them that question. What is critical thinking? Ask them that question. Ask them what is healthy skepticism? Ask them what that question is. Record the conversation when you have it with them. And then find out what those three things are, and you'll realize those people have no idea what they're talking about. Now, I knew some people are going to react to what I just said there, especially some of these people online. But if you want to go live with me, toe to toe, I will. Because if we're talking to people online and it's not entertainment, and it doesn't say this channel is for entertainment purposes only, then we're close to being shysters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're saying. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as I say, or Brent, if you say, this is a Sasquatch, I need to bring that out to the community so you can attack me. I'm hoping you're going to be a little more sophisticated in thinking that you have to attack me, that realizing you're working with somebody who has an open system, and I'm into being wrong. And I know, Brent, you're into being wrong. Some of these other people, they're not open into being wrong. They might say things that sound like they're open to being wrong. What do you guys think? Well, I know what you're going to think. You're going to bow the knee because you've been following me for 10 years. And it's like, yes, you're right. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that because I want to find out what you know. I remember I was out with a research. We were talking about this the other day, a researcher a couple of years ago. And he said, well, this is a Sasquatch. And I said, I need you to tell me what you're thinking and seeing in your noggin here. And articulate that out to me so I can see why you're saying that is this. And that's the problem. The reason it becomes circular is we've got two different worlds going on. We actually have people who are curious about the topic, whether it be ghosts, supernatural, cryptozoology, Bigfoot. We have those type of people are really interested in knowing what's going on in those areas. And then we have the other area of these people who just want to watch it for entertainment purposes. The problem is online, it's all meshed together. And on top of it being meshed together, not all of the thumbnails, definitions for these channels are valid. Are they for entertainment? Are they for education? Are they for research? Are they for fun? Are they just crazy? Are we just mockers? You know, I don't care. Put the label on, you know, because that's the frustrating part for people like you, Brent, and with me. And I think there's a whole bunch of good guys that I know that most people would know online too, that they're as frustrated as the rest of us are. You know, we can't say, heaven forbid, what I just said, the rest of you guys would be saying, which is what's going to be coming up in the next 5 years. This is garbage. That's what's going to come up. No one wants to say it. Well, somebody better say it. It's like saying, well, Dad's not really an alcoholic. No, Dad is an alcoholic. That's what the problem is. We're missing something. What are we missing? We're the problem. We don't want to educate ourselves. You don't have to come. Education is about, you know, you're not offended when someone's trying to educate you. You're offended when the person who's trying to educate you is trying to pass off educational data as being factual, though. That's when it comes into question. And that's why education, solid scientific method, is important, because it keeps you solid. You can say to a person, heaven forbid we say to some of these guys that have a lot of subscribers, you're wrong. Well, people can come back to me and say, well, Leon, you're wrong. Okay, let's go. Let's play with the ideas. Let's play with the concepts, the theories.
There's some people that are okay being wrong, you know, that know that they're out there scamming people, and they know that what they're, you know, it's the people that don't listen, that would just rather continue doing that, you know. And
but you can't do anything about that. You're going to get that in every system. Every system has it. That what key part that addresses that, like in every system, is education. Yeah. When you realize that you're not the crazy one in a crazy system, and your first sign that you realize that you're not the crazy one in the crazy system is you realize, I got to get the hell out of here. But as soon as you start leaving and getting outside of the system so you can get objectivity back, psychologically, emotionally, especially if you come out of an abusive relationship or some kind of destructive, toxic family system. As soon as you're out of the system, you get your bearings back of solidity, solidness about yourself. And that's what's missing here. We're letting these crazy ideas keep moving forward, which is not giving us anything that is got solidness to it. And that's why, like Danielle, you say, we really haven't moved along, Leon, have we, in the last 10 or 12 years or 9 months? Well, because we haven't, because no one's changing. We need to feel like you did, Brent, and like I did as well, the stupidity of our follies. And realize that we didn't die from it. And we have to show people at home the stupidity of our follies. Because we're not here and our ego isn't about our YouTube channel. It's about being bloody well Leon, bloody well Brent, bloody well Danielle, bloody well nobody knows, the Rooted Expedition, Jimmy Cottrell, Snow, Rooted, who else is on here? I'm just reading down the list of people we're watching right now. Like, I know these guys are on here for entertainment. I'm sorry, you guys, this is kind of heavy because we were trying to talk about having a fun time, but it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, anything goes. It's supposed to be a fun night.
Yeah,
it's reality. It is reality. I mean, how do people feel about this? There's a channel, and there's no Bigfoot actually ever seen, but there's lots of red circles, blue triangles. And they make quite a bit of money from their videos, which is basically taking the mick out of people looking for Bigfoot. And, you know, people are, you know, making money out of this. Some people think it's real. Some people think they're actually got Bigfoot behind them.
Yes.
Other people know it's a bit of a laugh, but new people wouldn't know the difference. If you
Right.
need this.
Daniela, you gotta interject for a second. Remember today we were talking earlier, you totally set me up and I totally took it hook, line, and sinker. And I said, the problem is people are gullible. And what did you say?
I said they've taken that word out of the English dictionary.
And I said, when the hell did they do that?
I said, oh, years ago.
I bought that whole thing. She said, why? Because I have a trusting regulator about Daniela because we have a friendship.
Yeah, and I would never, ever.
That's vulnerability. And in that vulnerability of having a friendship, and you get friendships in regards to whether you're not deep friendships like your best friend, but online you get these connections with these people you watch. Be careful though, because you're gullible. I am a gullible person and I'm educated in academically the mind. You're gullible. We're all susceptible to be open to be taken in. And I think that's the problem that's frustrating is as time moves forward, especially because of the COVID thing right now, everyone's doing stuff online all the time. So you just take it in normally now. The problem is that means the gullibility of the video or the new sites that are popping up are gullible. They're talking about, what do they talk about? The 10 million, this is 3 months ago, 10 million different type of sites about the COVID virus and what it's all about, all conspiracy oriented. That was 10 million. That was 3 months ago. 100 million this month. All conspiracy garbage, absolutely everyone. But we have mental fatigue. Why? Because our brain can't go through and sift through all the data. So everyone starts pulling to sides and opinions of stuff they're hearing, but they can't vet it because there's too much of it. And the problem with that is it gives you emotional, psychological burnout. And that's the scientifical approach. It's easier for me to just hear that and then start defending it than it is for me to do the scientific method, which is going to take me 100 times more energy and personality to go back to a tree that's been around for 10 years where everyone's saying this is that. Or for me to go back to gullible white guy looking for Sasquatch and say these structures are all human, all of them. After buying that, all of them are Sasquatch. This is what we're asking ourselves, the truth about ourselves, not just about the truth about whether or not Sasquatch is real or UFOs or anything else. It's the truth about ourselves, how solid you want to be about yourself. And not many people have been really in a nice environment that they had the capacity to learn the building structures that one needs to negotiate life, which is very tough with, because that's kind of what we're talking about. And once again, we're way over the heavy load on that one. Okay. Over to you, Daniela or Brent.
Well, I'll just go back to that channel I was talking about. People have obviously, good people have guessed, Susan Roberts. And I know he's doing it for a laugh, but you know, there's some people who don't get that he's acting, and yeah, I do get it, Marianne. But is it right that people can, you know, make money off this subject from people who are, some of them are gullible?
People will make money off this subject and every other subject as long as you're not educated and you become gullible. I'm not too sure how many times you've got a phone call from this is the CRC phoning you, the credit unit, blah, 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 blah. We're coming right now. Okay, what province are you phoning from? What? You know, these spam calls, this stuff, this is what we're talking about. You got just an overload of a variety of different fronts coming at us on a daily thing that has nothing to do with Sasquatch. We don't have the capacity to process the data we're receiving. It's just way too quick for the brain, for our conscious to go through it. So our subconscious got to do something with it. So it's going to.
We don't have we don't have the training for the investigation skills. I think I could say for certain that I had zero skills investigating. You know, how to be an investigator and you know, trying to be that detective, putting this puzzle together and stuff. I didn't have any of that. I didn't really understand it, and I just went with what YouTube channels were telling me, what people were saying online and stuff. So I didn't have the tools necessary to help me navigate that just quagmire crap out there.
Yeah, and it's like that. I think it was Nobody Knows that just put that up there about we don't even know if
Yeah.
Yeah, Sasquatch does make tree structures.
Well,
we
some
know
people-
a hell of a lot more that humans make tree structures than we have any validation whatsoever that Sasquatch makes tree structures. At least what we see online is defined as Sasquatch structures. And that's important what you're talking about there. Nobody knows. Which is that Brent or Brandon?
Brandon.
Yeah. And Brandon, I don't know if you caught this. I mentioned in a couple of the channels there about when you asked me about hypnotherapy and post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not the one I would go with. It's a good one to go with, though, in case I misinterpreted that. So
that's another comment Brandon put up before, Leon.
Okay, Leon, you're in my psychologist. 3 main points and said are exactly what we spoke about. That's exactly, yeah, totally, yeah. So, and that's the whole thing. I mean, look at you guys. We have to open up our camera lens. It's not about whatever we're buying online. It's about this community that's sitting here talking right now. Life is complicated. Throw the topic over on the shelf over here, not throw it away, but just put it over here and think about your own bloody lives. It's complicated. And so we're gullible and we're vulnerable. But when you want to know the truth about things, yes, it does make a better sense if more voices, if Daniela's channel, my channel, Brent's channel, everyone else's channel can have, which I don't think you can do on the Bigfoot network online. You have to get outside of that system on the YouTube system so that people can come to you as a resource instead of being influenced from inside of the system.
Yeah, well, see, I don't even consider myself. I don't even consider myself a Bigfoot researcher. I'm just a dude that's investigating the Bigfoot phenomenon. I feel that if you're inside the community, you're going to get. It's going to be harder to properly investigate this with a clear perspective because it's very easy to get influenced. And I could say that I could see how I can get influenced, even recognizing it. I have to stop myself from like, no, we got to push this back, So yeah, it's an interesting. It's amazing the way the influences work.
Right, and again, to be fair, who the hell knew what this internet thing was going to be looking like in the last 30 years? And so we got sucked into it like everyone else got sucked into it. In other words, because it's interesting. I mean, we wouldn't be on it if it wasn't interesting. YouTube, all this stuff, great access to information and data. But we haven't grown up a bit long enough to, I think part of the COVID thing's helping us out by using Zoom and stuff, especially like for me and what I do is use it for your courses and your teaching and stuff like that. And I think that's what we should do is use Zoom or other platforms where you can have about 50 people talking about good stuff offline, then put it online. But do the vetting offline. You don't need the Bigfoot online community. You don't owe anything to these people, including myself or Brent or anybody else. You don't owe anything to these people in regards to that. But you need to find the right people. But it's pretty hard when you're sifting through over 1,000 different channels that are all claiming this is Bigfoot, but you're hearing the same narrative for every bloody channel almost. It's like this hasn't been working for 20 years. It's not going to work for the next 20 years unless you give us some more data that's more detailed. So go ahead, Brent.
Why do you guys think that the stick structures are still being, being labeled as Bigfoot, even though there's countless, pieces of evidence? People are still choosing to, this is a Bigfoot. Why do you guys think that we still have this lingering thing out there where we know what it is, but people still?
Well, because they don't want to get rid of the channel they're watching.
Yeah.
Soap operas are not real whatsoever, but boy, oh boy, when they were big on TV, they were big on TV. You made sure you watched it every day. Mm-hmm. The longest running ones from Britain, I think they're, what's it called, Daniela?
The what, sorry?
What's the longest soap opera running in?
Coronation Street.
Coronation Street. Canadians love it. Not all Canadians, but yeah, I mean, it's been around, 50 years, 60 years? Just been on and on and on and on. I think it started on TV. I'm not sure. But the problem is you get used to that plug-in, right? Which is also when you're watching it and stuff, you get endorphins and all sorts of stuff firing in your brain, which is giving you chemical reactions to keep paying attention. That's why you notice videos now used to be 5 seconds, now they're 10 seconds, now they're 15 seconds. Now they have two ads on each video that you're going on. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know you're about to watch a video, and they try to be very polite. And well, then get the hell off the video. But oh no, they won't do that, you know, because YouTube needs to make some money. Oh, hopefully they won't cancel your channel now, you know. But this is how ridiculous it is, you know. I mean, I've been thinking about talking about for a while of getting off this bloody platform because you can't help what I'm doing because of the way the structure of it is. So.
Oh, hey, I wanted to bring up about that Patterson Gimlin film real quick. Yeah, I do think that the Patterson Gimlin film, it's most likely real. You know, it's just something that. I'm sorry. What did that say again?
I don't know. I think you just made up your own question, and I think. And
you're talking about the Patterson being real, yeah. That was it.
Real, right? Okay. Sorry.
The best thing I've ever heard that one where it really seals the deal is listening to Jeffrey Meldrum. When he goes through the animatronics of all that, the animatronics, the way the muscles, the bones are, when you hear how he says it very systematically through it, why it is the way it is, you know, it's kind of funny. Here's the question that's interesting is you talk to people about, well, can you recognize the Sasquatch print? Oh, yes, I can recognize the Sasquatch print. Can you recognize the Sasquatch cast? Oh yes. And so in the mind, what you're seeing in your mind is when you look at a casting is a long flat thing that goes this way, and then it's got 5 toes, right? Now the other part of your mind that knows about a flat thing that moves forward and has 5 toes is your own foot. And what people's visual parts of their brain, this is how your data gets skewed, because you have previous data in your head from your own toes. Your own toes have these bones in them. Now, the difference between a footprint that is casted, or a Sasquatch footprint compared to a human's footprint, is a footprint of a human's toe is only about this long, going this way. A Sasquatch toe is all the way back here, and then it snaps up, or snaps up this way, right? That's a mid-tarsal break. But you don't view that they actually have. That's how long their bloody bones are? Their toe bones? Yes. In order for that mechanism to work that way and that footprint, remember, he has over 300-400 footprints. And that's what he does. I don't know if he has a foot fetish. Not saying that you do, Jeffrey. Just kind of weird. Why would someone get into there's like a proctologist? Why would someone get into be a proctologist? What would fascinate you to become a proctologist? I don't know. Just saying. There's some levity for you. But, you know, so it's, whenever you're looking at any of this stuff, there's so much interesting stuff out there that we don't have to be afraid of, that there must be 1,000 times more interesting stuff that we should be ecstatic about learning when we find out the truth about it. Like it's not a Sasquatch living under the ground. You know, having knowledge is dangerous, Brent. Heaven forbid you're right and 99% everyone else is wrong. Yeah, there's a consequence to that. So.
Well, let me just see if there's any questions. We've got another again, Brandon. Brent, you said you wanted someone to get Sasquatch on video, so I asked you objectively, what do you think of the Patterson footage? All right, I think he's just giving us a reminder of.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to get to there. That was the question.
That question was. Thanks for keeping us on track, Brandon. So, you know, where do we go from here?
For the Patterson, for the PG
film? No. Well, go on.
Well, where do we go from here? You mean, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? From where we're at? From where we're going? We need another avenue, another place for people to go, where it's just the basic facts and no sugarcoating, no fancy. You know,
that's actually why.
And if we boiled it down, what do we know? What do we know about Sasquatch? Can we use more than?
No, you're not asking a deep enough question there. It's not about what do we know about Sasquatch? What do we know about UFOs? What do we know about giraffes? What do we know about anything? How do we know? What's the technique to learn? How do we know? because
But if we break it down now, though, what do we know? Walks on two legs. You know, it's very, very simple, isn't it? It's very basic what we know.
Yeah, zip. What we know is zip. But we have all these people claiming they know it's not zip. It's zippity-doo-dah. Keep sending me money.
Some of it is, yeah.
Yeah. And so you got to be fair about it, realize the system has that in it. But I don't think that is the end all means all.
No.
I mean, part of this whole thing that we're doing tonight, and that's this shift that's slowly happening online, is this narrative that happens. You can't just turn a ship. You have to, it takes a time for a big ship to shift itself. But part of this is part of the solution. And part of the solution is having 3 different voices, plus people watching it at home and listening in and are thinking about what we're saying. And the idea of new ideas coming into things that are trying to base it on some kind of a standard that we can all go by, which is critical thinking. There's nothing wrong with critical thinking, but you better understand, type in your browser tonight, what is academic critical thinking? What is academic skepticism? What is academic scientific method? Academically, that's the standard, because it helps us. The key part about the scientific method is the first thing you're doing is trying to prove it's not your hypothesis. That's the first thing you go after full bore. It's not a Sasquatch. And then when you don't, you can't get any farther than that. It's got to be something like a Sasquatch if that's the case. So unless they're extinct in the next 20 years and 100 years, we're still looking for Sasquatch, and we find out later on that they've been extinct for the last 50 years. So, oh boy, won't I look stupid? Not really, but you know.
Brandon again. Leon, we need more healthy objective criticism from you. Get on every channel and fire off. Hope nobody get too offense to the message you're trying to convey. Well, that's it. People will get
offended. The companions that are going to join us that want to, want to get this going in the right direction, and getting other people, making it more well known. You know, because like I say, when I first got into this, I was clueless, very naive, didn't know the resources and stuff, and you know, maybe making that more apparent for the people getting in, and you know, understanding where all the people that have got us to this point, you know, historically, that got us to here, so we can learn, like how Stephen was able to, you know, really show me and help me understand the investigation process and resources. I like the Coalition of Critical Thinking on the Facebook group, and I know some people aren't a big fan of it. They call it a troll group and stuff. It's a very direct, and sometimes when you talk in only text form, you lose a lot of personality. What's being said, you can take offense, and again, they're kind of like you're saying, kind of working within the system of like, you know, here we go again. This is, you know, I noticed that like every year or two, there's something that cycles back in, like, oh, we're talking about this picture again, you know, even though we talked about it last year, and year after year and year after year of that, it kind of gets really old. So I can see, you know, getting pretty jaded about it. But for me, it's having resources like that where you'll get the truth, the cold hard facts, even if you don't want to hear it or know. And you'll also get a lot of information that you didn't even realize, you know, like the Patterson-Gimlin film. There's so much information that to still kind of learn just outside of that actual film. You know, there's people that did follow-ups on it. You know, the Bluff Creek Project went and found the film site again and really kind of helped verify some of these measurements, really kind of helped dialed in what all happened down there, the pathway and stuff like that. And it's having those resources, I think, are going to help the individual, if they're looking for the truth, you know, get to where they want to go with their goal in this subject. Granted, that's more of a path of truth and not the one of hoaxing and manipulating and that whole thing.
Well, a couple of things. I just put this up. Strangeland, I agree. We have been chasing our tails for 50 years or more. What the native peoples have been saying, in my opinion, is the best route to listen to. So that's going back to history, going back to before the internet, going back to...
Yeah, we're pretty hubrisly arrogant as human beings, unfortunately. I mean, think of it. I watched an interesting... It was from the 90s. I think it was from the 90s. It was a movie, and it was about aliens coming to the planet, and and of course we were all freaked out and just like Independence Day, the movie there. Well, we go and blow the shit out of them, right? Meanwhile, they're sending us messages, but we can't decode it till the very end of the movie. And what it was they found our Voyager that went out there and said, "We come in peace, we're loving, we're all this great stuff that's on that big gold disc that they sent out there." Whatever world that was is not the world we're living in today. We are suspicious. We're high. We have a low chronic anxiety chronically in us. We don't have a solid sense of capacity to view and interpret stuff. I think the nice thing about Brent, what you did was like going back to that question that was asked, you were asking Danielle, what do we do now or what do we do from here? Well, we have to start somewhere. So let's start it here. And the idea is to come clean. Now, the more people that come clean about the factual evidence that they produce, then the people who don't come clean, the people have a visual reference point to tell the ones online that have come clean and can read honest body language, compared to the ones who fabricate a narrative that comes on with their videos. If they want to change it,
you know the difference too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The point is we have to show people what to do. It's not that people are not intelligent. People are intelligent, but they can only work with the data that is available to them. And it's pretty hard to have that data if the data are the visual online seen videos aren't solid. And I mean, it's been a craw on my crack for a long time.
I noticed that people like take you out along with their journey, and it's more story time. It's like, what can I apply to the Bigfoot? You know, it's like, I'm going to take you hiking. It's a Bigfoot theme hike. You know, they create stories to go along with some of the stuff that they find. You know, you know, just random things that they think that Sasquatch left them there. The Bigfoot put this big boulder right here, and nobody else could have done it but a Bigfoot, and you know, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, and again, that one video that I did up, which was sorry, you guys will disappoint. At this point, some of you guys have been following me online, is I have a video called Sasquatch Wallow or something else going on. And I want to go up there and videotape the whole thing, but I want everyone to watch it before I go because they're already primed for the narrative I have on that video. And I was primed. I actually, I didn't prime myself to do the video so I could do the second video on it. I was primed when I walked into the area. So it's all on there. What normal people would do that are beginners, because my channel is for beginners, because I don't want them to go through 5 years of insanity.
And that's if the people watching this can learn, you know, just put the ego aside. If you really want to find a truth, you know, in your own investigation, and listen to like the stuff that we're talking about, the stuff that people before us have been talking about, and because there's a lot of people like us, you know, and it's just unfortunately right now it's a narrative has taken over the Bigfoot subject, and it's not a good one. People are exploiting it for their own personal gain. People are wasting their time, giving donations to the wrong people, you know, and it's just, you know, something you really got to kind of watch out for.
Well,
you know,
there's way
to know the difference between it all.
That's right, and there's a way of doing it too, which is dismantling the blocks. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is on my channel, you'll notice I have other channels on there. I have everything from Professor Scott Holland, who's an interesting video. You can check out his channel. He talks about all sorts of strange stuff, but he's very scientific, explaining stuff. I have the Skeptics Society on my Bigfoot channel. I have the critical thinking sites on my channel, and I have videos on my channel that mock the Bigfoot community. Now, why is that important? Because it shows you what we're lacking in regards to what we need to do to upgrade our game. We have to upgrade our game for a Brent and a Leon who want to find a Sasquatch again.
And the other people out there that want to find one, you know, got to up our game and get past this narrative, this false narrative that is out there now of, you know, Bigfoot is everywhere behind every tree, and you know, he's going to leave you all these different signs that he's out there. And, you know, don't forget to donate during the live show type of thing. You know, it's what they kind of promote. And it's all just kind of, it is for entertainment. You know, if they put, this is for entertainment on the channel.
That's all they need to do. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Yes. Like go out, have fun. I would even watch it and enjoy it, but you're trying to present something as fact and it's really not. It's like, come on, man.
Yes, it's like Danielle and I were talking about. It's like you go and pay somebody. I need something to work on my car or my house or something like that. So you talk to a friend, and a friend says to you, "Oh, I know so and so. They know everything about cars or construction." And so they come over, and I'm trusting the data in their head that they know what the hell they're talking about. So they come and they do this job for me or fix my car, and I pay them money to go do that. And then later on, I get in my car and it goes click, 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 or the roof falls into my house. Should I be pissed off at that? Should you not be a little, besides feeling embarrassed? See, this is why people who get caught in fraud don't ever report it, because they feel stupid that they were conned. And that's why this is important, what we're talking about. This whole thing, just the word hoaxer now has become a bitter word on the online scene. Throw the word hoaxer out there and then think about somebody shafting you. That's what it feels like. It totally feels like that. I can't make it any lighter than that. Now, people want to minimize it and they want to say, well, you should be soft on this person and that because they're this. Why should I be soft on them? As soon as I declare Leon, as soon as Leon declares this is a Sasquatch and this is why the piranhas get let out of the cage and into the aquarium, they're allowed to come after me. Because if it's solid metal, solid stone, they're not going to touch me because the evidence is solid. And that's the level we need to go to. And I don't know why people are so worried about that whole concept and idea, other than it's too draining for us. Do I want to know the truth or don't I want to know the truth? Is Sasquatch real or isn't he real? Now, I've seen one. Danielle, when you asked me earlier today about, you always say it like that. Well, I say it like that because I'm talking to the viewers who are the beginners who've never seen one. It's like, are they real or not? Now, why is it important to come at them, give them that script in building block in their brain first? Is because we want to build on what we're talking about here, which is solid evidence, scientific evidence, bottom down, built up, not scientifica. Sorry, my horses are acting up there. Not the scientific method, which is idea down here. Let's pull all these sources up here. So it confuses so many people with magical scientific comments and gadgets. And it looks very sophisticated that, oh, okay, I'll buy that. You put a Joe Blow in a uniform and he can direct traffic for you. He works as a janitor, I don't know, at a zoo, but you put a uniform on the guy, he's an authoritarian figure. That's psychologically exactly what happens to people. He's got a uniform on. It must be important. We better follow what he says. No, don't just follow. Learn, teach, share, care in the process. That's what we need to do. There's no use even trying to combat the television network of the Bigfoot online community. It's like CBC and ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever. There's no use combating any of that because those people they're there for the network entertainment of it and whatever that's happening. We're here for the research. It's different.
Yeah, that's why if anybody has a problem with anything that we say or like, ooh, these guys are whatever, those, you're not for us. I mean, our message isn't for you. You're on a different path than us, and just go stay in your path and, let the people that want to join this path join it. Don't try and like go whatever, but hey, do I have orange to you guys?
You actually do. We were worried about that, weren't we, Danielle? Yeah. You look very orange to us. No, not to me. You don't look orange.
Orange.
That's what he's saying.
Orange or red or something, don't I?
No.
Well, look, are we going to? Should we open up a discussion next week if anyone wants to join? Are we inviting people who want to talk about this to have an open discussion? If they don't agree with you, or they want to,
if anybody wants to have like any sort of like discussion, that wants to just create a worthwhile discussion on the path that we're kind of going and understand, how we got there, learn from our mistakes. I think the more people start having those type of conversations, I think that people will start producing better evidence or getting closer to the truth. And, it's the least that we could do, because I wish I would have listened to all the people who tried to help me before, but I was just so blinded by my cognitive dissonance that I couldn't even listen to them. And so we have to get people to understand these different processes that we go through in this subject and really fully understand it. So I think we should, have a show about priming, just about confirmation bias, about the cognitive dissonance, and bring people in, other people who might have had those experiences as well, who can help articulate it and share their experience. So the more people that share their experience and talk about it more, we'll have a better understanding, because I'm still trying to process everything still too. So I could sure learn and from other people who are having these type of similar, experiences and stuff.
Right. And the other thing, jumping on that for a bit there too, is we were talking the other day, is how would you pull that off? And what we came up with was the idea is reveal our own stupidity. Reveal our own stupidity. And that's the key part. You can't come at me if I'm telling you I'm already stupidly a moron, and I'll show you why. And the reason why I want to do that is to show you that you're going to make mistakes. And that was what I think helped us a bit kind of get over that. How do we present this online as a different narrative that's valid, which is, why don't we just tell our own process? Because I know there's a lot of big guns that are out there that, I've been itching on this one for 3-4 years behind the scenes. You guys heard me whenever we were talking offline and then after the show conversation, which is, these are the conversations we need to have. Because there's so many people would be really shocked, who have, that they really respect, but they have been butchered online. So these people who are so-called butcherers, which one day, I would like somebody to come after me and say, well, we're going to sue you. Come and sue me, you little buggers. By the time your savings accounts are sucked dry, you will look like the incompetent people you're actually, and deceitful people that you actually are. Now that sounds really bitter and cruel. Well, you should see what they've done to some of these people that you really care about out there, you guys. So
I'm a perfect. I had to deal with that, and other people that I'm friends with had to deal with that as well. And it's like, that's just such a terrible aspect of this subject.
Hey, we've got Joe passing tonight. How are you doing, Joe?
What was that comment there? I missed that. It was so fast there.
Lord knows I make my mistakes. We all do. We all have.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, that's what we need. We need to talk about our mistakes, because for me, that's more of a worthwhile learning moment versus someone trying to tell me that there's a Bigfoot in this pareidolia picture type of thing. I think we'll get more value out of those type of conversations. And with people like Joe, other people like Joe, and there's so many people like us, it's just, we got to get ourselves back together so we can forge out that path that, because like I was telling Daniela, it's like it seems like the Bigfoot community and subject and everything has been taken on this side road that is all about people's personal exploitations of it and not about the actual truth. And so you have the people that have always been here trying to maintain that path, but it's been hard because the majority have been, like I was, over there, following this false narrative. And so, we got to get all these people back onto this path so we can help clear it out. And
also like even with Joe too. I mean, Joe's been online for a year. I like it that he has no BS Bigfoot stuff, right? Now he's been online for a year. He doesn't know a lot of the entrapments that he can still walk into out there, like you and I.
There's so much that people be warned about.
Great, but yet you want to use the online platform, whatever one that happens to be, for you to, especially in your local area, to get data collection in regards to events that happen fairly quickly. But also, the thing is I know, Joe, I think you're a little older than I am, my friend, but I know that you're sincere about what you're trying to do. But again, be cautious a bit about buying the techniques you've seen online visually, that those are the ways to get the information doing in regards to seeing a Sasquatch. Because I think he's like you too, Brent. He's never seen one, but he wants to see one. I want these guys to see them. But I mean, where the hell are they supposed to go? I think the other nice thing too is this whole idea about, we debunked that 10 years ago. We got 10 years of people who are all new now. Bypass the online system because it's not educationally helping those people who are now coming online, the next generation, which happens to be 70-year-olds to 18-year-olds. That's the next generation. Not all 18-year-olds, not all 7. There's a whole chunk of them out there. Bypass all of them and let's do it a different way. That way the online network has to adjust itself, and it doesn't. We don't need them. We don't need the online thing at all. And so, well, how else are we supposed to think out of the bloody box? There's lots of options, which we've been doing behind the scenes, right? You guys know what I've been working on and stuff like that. Is slowly networking is driving some people crazy because I haven't got back to them. But I'm too busy trying to get their answers for what they want me to be doing. For 3 months ago, I'm still doing what we talked about 3 months ago. It takes time to structure quality. So
bring up a comment here. Strangeland should have a show where people in the room can send in a photo or something they think is proof or find, and it can be looked at and spoke about. Just a thought. Okay, well, I'll come from my point of view with photos. Is if we're having to study a photo because we can't tell what it is, for me, throw that photo out. If you've seen something, if you were there and you saw something and you've got, your own account of what happened, that for me is more important than trying to work out a photo. If you've got a photograph, then for me, you need to go back. You need to take a comparison shot. You need to show that thing wasn't there when you.
Some people don't know how to do that. Some people don't realize I should get an after shot and all that, and it's getting that information out there.
Yeah, you can spend so much time analyzing one photo, and it could be absolutely anything. And for me,
I never go out look at my old photos or anything because it's a rabbit hole that you're going to go down to. But with something like that, it's also a slippery slope what this individual is suggesting, because some people get emotionally attached to their evidence or someone else's evidence. So when you try to challenge that or talk about it, it's that's that cognitive dissonance. People Google it, YouTube it, whatever, learn it. It makes it so you can't really have those type of conversations because they're so emotionally guarding that. They want to protect that. They don't want you to take it away. So that's something like that's, it's a good idea, but it's also, it needs to be from somebody who is not going to be emotionally upset,
because if you can't see it, if they think they're seeing something, a lot of this pareidolia stuff, whether it is or not, if you've never seen a Sasquatch before, you don't know what you're looking for starters. So for someone who has seen one and can see it in a picture like that, it's very difficult to get someone on your side because they don't know what they're looking for. And I just think it's a frustrating thing to go through the photos.
That's why I never do it.
What's it going to prove anyway? What does it prove anyway if you've got a photo that's of a Sasquatch that's maybe behind a bush or peeping its head out? What is that photo going to do?
Well, I have a baseline where if you have to explain evidence and point it out, then it's probably not very good.
I want to jump in here. Can I for a sec?
Just for a second.
Let me think about it. Go on then.
Okay. Are you sure? That wasn't much time to think about it.
I've thought about it. You can go.
Okay. What we're talking about here is the third law of Merton's norm, and it is called disinterestedness. Disinterestedness is you have data. I have data. Brent, anyone else has data. And you have a disinterest to the point where you have no agenda or biasness towards the outcome of the research or the data when you get other outside sources' opinions about it. That's objective. I need you guys' help. This sure the hell looks like blah, 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 blah.
No red or blue or green or no pens. No pens.
Yeah, no pens. And
if you have to explain it, it's probably not very good evidence. And if you're going to get emotionally attached to it, then maybe the online presenting your evidence online probably isn't the best idea, because you're just going to. That's why a lot of people think the Coalition of Critical Thinking is a troll group, because they go present evidence that's very bad, and they get so upset that they had their whole what they thought was a Bigfoot kind of slammed. And so that makes those conversations really hard sometimes.
It also shows another opening for us. The opening for us is the person who asked us that. Who was that asked us that question? You remember, Daniela?
Strangeland.
Yeah, in Strangeland. Listen, remember, there's people who know nothing about forest, reading the ground, or prints. They might actually have something there, and this is part of that other part of education, which is, I don't know what this is. Can you explain to me why this is? So that when we do give them, and if they stay neutral, again, the objective is don't personalize anything, ever,
Emotionally,
ever. Especially ever. You stay in the center of both opinions or sides. And it's tough because our brain likes one side or the left. It's just the way.
Staying outside of the Bigfoot community, it helps by staying outside of the Bigfoot community. You don't have that influence.
That's right. And so those people need help. It's like what I try to include that in my videos and stuff. You know, this is a doe, and this is a doe that's pregnant, and this is a buck, and this has big antlers. This is a bear. It looks like it's been shot, belly shot. It's still roaming around. How do I know that? So when they're looking at a track, how do you know that? Like that one print I put up there where it's this big footprint, Sasquatch print, but there's a baby Sasquatch print in the back, and hardly anyone catches the end of it unless I point it out to them and zoom in, and they go, holy shit, you can actually see the pores in the heel. You know, I mean, I've been online now for 5 years. I've only posted one video of one track. I've seen more than one track, but it's one that I can explain that looks like a frickin' track, because it doesn't help the viewers at home. Now, I chose to do that at the very beginning. If it doesn't look clear, and I think Joe mentions this on his channel too, is if it doesn't look clear enough, what's the use of posting it? So that's the one side. But we have to remember that there's people on here that aren't clinically, they're probably not clinically trained, but aren't also bush trained to understand and read the ground. And that's part of our responsibility to assist them with that. I mean, there's such a huge opportunity to just blow all this garbage that we've been stuck in for the last, especially the online scene for the last 20 years, just blow it right out of the bloody water. Learn about a variety of fronts: tracking, reading the ground, bushcraft. Like we were talking, Brent, about fillers for your video. Talk about vegetation that you can eat and not eat. You never know how that might save somebody's life one day. Something can go terribly wrong in the bush by you slipping more than being attacked by something, and now you're stuck in the bloody bush. In Canada here, I'm up in 20 minutes. I've got no cell reception. I can't go anything live.
Oh yeah.
It's too isolated. I mean, you guys are lucky if you can do that. I can't do that here. If something's gone wrong, I got to deal with it. So that's just another perspective. Remember that, again, there's a lot of innocents out here. Jimmy's one of those guys. Carl's one of those guys. There's a lot of innocents out here that don't have the same knowledge and information that we might be carrying because we've been in the bush training ourselves and getting back into the bush, upgrading ourselves for that information. That should be transposed over into the data on videos for it.
And how do we talk to those people and, create that sort of path towards, is how do we create those type of conversations? It comes down to having the right people in place. And that's why we were talking about, we should really kind of only focus more on the people who really kind of want to go where we want to go and stuff, and just kind of the people who want to go play story time in their videos, just that's on them.
That's on them. Yeah, have fun with that. Yeah.
It's just story time pretty much. Yeah. But some of the people watching that don't realize that. They think it's real, and so the more and more this conversation is had, and not just by us, but by other people, other channels, that are going to be like, oh, actually, let's go ahead and talk about this tonight and stuff. And, that's how I think that's how it's going to right the ship and get us going.
Yeah, Daniela, you said something about this the other day there, similar to that. You have to help me because my brain just went blank. I had it and then I went, oh, well, let's go on.
That happens all the time.
What did I say? About what exactly?
Well, kind of about this whole idea is if the more of us talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The more of us come up with it with a different narrative. So, and there's healthy narratives, and everyone has a narrative. It's the ones that are the toxic narratives that cause the frustration for the ones who have the healthy narratives, because we're relying on those ones that are unhealthy, unfortunately, but we don't find out later till they are unhealthy.
We need a new avenue, a new road to this. Yeah. A clear one, and You know, we can't control what's going on other people's channels.
No,
we can't control what
waste
people
of
are
time.
doing. But you know, we can't go out. We're not going out looking for people, but we're saying we're here if you want to hear the truth and have an honest a discussion, an opinion about this subject, instead of getting carried away with channels that might not always. You know, anybody coming to this new, you will fall for something that is complete and utter rubbish, guaranteed.
Oh,
You
and I
will
remember.
two or three things, you'll believe it, and then someone will say, no, that was that, and then you'll go, oh, but how do you know that's true? And how do you know thingy said that? It's just repeated information that we actually never can get down to the bones of it.
Right,
We don't know these people. We don't know. We're just listening to what so-and-so saying, what so-and-so says. It's just, you know, we're just passing this information around. We don't even know if half of it's true.
Right.
Well, that's what happened with me in the tree. I just went off what other people were saying. It's like I didn't do any work towards it as far as like really doing an proper investigation. I just went off with everybody else said, and everybody else was saying the same thing. I'm like, oh, cool.
And then you're telling everybody, and then they're telling everybody, and it just goes on and on and on. It's like a disease, you know, of spreading this.
I remember. Sorry, Daniel. Obviously, we're really getting into this because we just all wanted to jump in here, especially me. I remember what you said. What you said was, let the people find us. The ones who are looking for us will find us. And I think that's a really good, solid statement. Because we don't want people to find us who aren't looking for us.
No.
Because that means they get the structural groundwork already built in their head of where we're going. And we'll deal a lot. It'll help us deal a lot less with some of the political attacks, because that's not what we're about at all. It's about education. That's what it's about. And trying to get the right people connected to each other and the right resource people connected to each other. So,
yeah. That's it. No one's forcing anyone to believe, to do whatever. If you want to join the whatever it's going to be called, even if it starts with us three, you know, I'm committed to sticking to the truth, to sticking to, you know, what we know, and that's very little, and not getting carried away with stories, because it's just a waste of time, you know. And I've certainly got other things that I want to do. And
okay,
go on.
And if there's anybody in the chat that wants to have these type of conversations, like Joe and many other people that want to have these type of conversations, Jimmy and stuff, you know, talk to Daniela to see about setting something up so, you know, these type of conversations could be had. And like I said, we're not going to, you know, none of us are experts. First off, we just have a little bit more insight into the Bigfoot phenomenon culturally than other people do, and just from the experiences that we had. And so if other people want to come on here and have those conversations, not get attacked and not be belittled because they thought something was a Bigfoot, because you're talking to a guy who thought a Bigfoot lived under a tree. So it's not like I can talk trash about people. I mean, because you'll be all you have is like, you thought a Bigfoot lived under a tree. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So I mean,
watches bait structures too.
You know, the discussion isn't to attack anybody or to single out channel. It's just education, and it's going to be online. It's going to be transparent. Nobody's talking about anyone behind anyone's back. We'll all stand by what we say, because that's how we feel, and we should be able to, you know, no one's got the monopoly on this. Nobody owns the rights to Bigfoot and what it's all about. And so, you know, if you're going to do anything about it, at least be, you know, transparent and honest and truthful. You know, that can't be a bad thing. Surely.
Well, I think the key part too is also give them a structure to go by, which is a standard, and make it a very simplistic standard. Like, for instance, that number 3 on the Merton's Law there. Whatever I present, I don't have anything invested in it. I want to honestly know what you guys are saying. And you'll know. Go ahead, Danielle.
Well, sorry, I'll let you admit. I don't want to break you. You've forgotten now.
Well, give me one sec. And I think, I mean, we've been talking about this along with other people for a 3 months now, so are off and on for maybe a little bit even more than 3 months, about we've noticed what the symptoms are, like me coming in researching the Bigfoot online community and understanding as a system, I understand what the dynamics or the glitches are that aren't helping the system move forward. But unfortunately, sometimes with systems, it's like being raised again with a dysfunctional system, family. Sometimes it's better just to leave the system. And then what happens is the people who are also sick of the system now have somewhere to go. And I think that's what frustrated you, Brent, and me as well, is where do you go? And I think this is part of that healthy evolution is outside of the system is where we need to go. And then the next part is how do we get people familiar with that we're outside of the system instead of inside of the system, where most people, the general public we're talking, are going to go online to find it. But the people, you know, it's not that even if I stepped out of the system, I'm still going to check out Bob Gimlin's bloody videos. He's awesome. You know, Justin's awesome. I back both those guys, you know, and
but when you have that specific mindset, that's the important thing, is you have that mindset and realization. Right. So you're able to dip your toes in the water and not drown, type of thing. Yeah. And that's the important thing, is having that breaker, that breaking point in your brain to be like, whoa, I'm getting a little too deep in and I need to step away, or you know, realize that, so you don't get caught up in the story, which is very easy.
Yeah, immediately, right? Because it's very reactatory. You know, you get comment. You have 100 great comments on your last video, and you got one guy that's just a dick. And or girl, because it could be women as well, and that just sticks in your noggin because you're wondering, oh, really? That's the best you can come up with. Why are you like
those people?
What's that?
I like and engaging them and talking. You know, like there's actually people on my channel that came at me really hard, and now, you know, now they're subscribers and they always comment on my channel, and they're always really positive. But before they were like really negative, tell me how much I sucked at this and stuff like that. And but I chose to talk to them and be like, okay, well, let's have this conversation. So I'd have like a 26 comment thing underneath my underneath their comment, you know. But it's just talking and engaging those people, kind of like what we're doing now. Granted, not all people are like that. Like some people just delete their comment and just up and leave and unsubscribe to me. But some people, you know, are willing to you know, have those discussions. So they are out there. You know, and they will find.
I don't have time to type out an essay for everybody who's not where I'm at. So, you know, I can't give 10 years of education in a one-page paper that I know is not going to satisfy their incapacity of not having a foundation to even grasp what I'm talking about. So I get where you're coming from, though. I mean, I do this out of empathy and compassion for the community, not because I'm bitter or, you know, I'm not doing it because of that. I want help. Frick, I just want some help. The Sasquatch. Joe wants some help. Brent wants some help. Daniela would like some good, solid something. Jason, Bigfoot Tony would like a clear video with the technology we have today. Justin would like to have it filmed. And yeah, well, let's help them get all that. Let's help us get all that. Let's try something.
It's like, and I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert out there. So I still need help going out trying to find a Bigfoot and still learning the ropes. And, you know, it's you know, it's always about, just not having the mindset that you know it all, or that you can't get any more knowledge than what you can.
I'll send you the bill. I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me how much it is, because I think it's
actually, you have to send me your address because I got you something.
Oh.
Yeah, I got you something because you told me about that new video you're doing, which is that one about you're doing a narration about that the historical places of your yeah. Anyways, I have something that will fit that, and you can put it on that little shelf behind you there. When you do it. Oh yes, oh my! It might take you 10 years by the time the plague's done, but you know you'll just be a skeleton going, "Hey, we're going to talk about death." Anyways, it's 2 hours, you guys. What do you want to do here?
I think we'll look at that. It's like you know, like timing. I would like a good night's sleep. Presents, yeah. Well, I think we've done 2 hours. We'll do this again, and there's a shout out there for anyone who wants to be part of this. You know, have these discussions.
I love having these type of discussions. You know, if more people, different people from different walks of life, from different areas, you know, get together, man, those are the best discussions. And, you know, we just discuss the finer points and, you know, not be preachy.
We might get 5 Hazel up here. What do you reckon, 5 Hazel? And there's some other people here, I'm sure, would like to get involved the next time we do this. And yeah, we need to just get it out there, say what we think, because there's nothing wrong in that. There's too many people.
With respect. That's
that's what I mean. You know, we should be able to just and not have to sugarcoat everything and tiptoe around people. It's just not. It's 1:30 in the morning, Strangeland. So yeah, it's getting late. But look, thanks everyone.
Thanks Danielle for having this discussion on your channel. It's a risk for you. I understand that. So I just want to say I appreciate you doing this. You putting your neck out there to facilitate this this discussion, because I don't think me and Leon could have really had it on our channels or you know, really work with anybody else. So again, thank you for that.
Well, you know, there's no loss if people don't like the way I think and the way I want to move forward with this. You know, it doesn't take anything away from those people who've had these encounters and all the stuff that they go through. This is something complete. This is something separate. To me,
it's a big, you know, Bigfoot's possible. You know, that we're not like hardcore.
We're not saying Bigfoot doesn't exist. You know, Leon's seen one. So it's not even like we're trying to say
pressure.
It's about, but it's not about, you know, trying to disprove it at all. This is just about how you move forward with this subject, the way people come into it as newbies. And, you know, I think we need some guidance. We need a little bit of guidance. Everybody needs a bit of guidance. And
there's so much guidance out there. It's not just us. There's so much guidance out there. It's just people need to recognize it and, you know, just recognize it so they could have the tools for themselves to go navigate this very, very tricky subject. Because it's like it's like a field full of rabbit holes. And it's like you're going to, you know, wrong step, you're going to go straight down a rabbit hole. And by God, I hope you can like pull yourself out. You know, because some people don't.
The subject is addictive enough without the extra pills, you know. Just give it the rabbit hole. I've done enough on the pills. But
wait, just in case you're about to sign off there, I also wanted to say to you, Brent, thank you for, first of all, being brilliant enough and courageous enough to just tell the truth. That's the hugest message anybody can do. Tell the truth, even though you felt absolutely humiliated and embarrassed and also conned and that whole shit, because that will give, there's 2 of us now who've done that online that I'm aware of. You're one of them and I'm the other one. And I know there's other people out there that have the capacity to do that. The key part is we need to keep doing that. The more people just bloody well fess up, the hoaxers and all these other guys playing these other games, they're going to get cornered after a while as time moves forward.
That's how it's gonna work, and that's the only way to really go about it, because you can't really take those people on, because you just can't in this subject. You have to wean them out of the conversation, because their conversation isn't even close to
where we're going.
Because we realize that they're creating story time for their own exploitations.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we can go on for another 4 hours, you guys, but I don't think we should. We'll leave some for next time.
Yeah, we'll leave some for the next time, because this subject, you know, there's lots more to talk about. I need to thank Linda Taylor, Colette Millette, and Mammy Goodheart for donating tonight in the super chat. I really appreciate that. That was a very nice bonus. Thanks everyone. Thanks for, you know, joining in with the chat tonight and putting your opinions out there and sticking with us. And I'd like to know what you all think in the comments. Bigfoot is like a religion. You're right. So many thoughts and beliefs, Trevor.
Yeah.
And yeah, let me know what you think, and you know, give us a thumbs up as well. Give us a like, because we like the likes to help our channel to grow and to get the word out there. And also go over, check out the tall ones. Has
Sorry.
it got the cat? Is it your cat?
No, it's the horse.
The horse.
Give me a sec. Okay, go. Okay, go ahead, finish up, and then we'll go.
We'll say good night. Good night, everyone. We'll see you soon.